Wombats defend themselves by, throwing it back. But to understand how the fuck they actually do it, you're gonna need to learn a little bit about them first. You see, Australia is home to 3 species of these bad boys, all of them equally adorable, and very importantly, all being burrowers, meaning they dig out a nice little hole for themselves and the family to live in, because, like the rest of us, they can't afford a fucking house in this economy, man. They grow to around 1.3 meters in length, but despite being small, they are built like fucking tanks, weighing in at a chunky ass 35 kilos, but despite their weight, I shit you not, they have a top speed of 40k an hour. Now, the fact that they can nearly get booked in a school zone, coupled with them being a tank-class marsupial, forms the start of their defense strategy. So you see, a fun fact about wombat anatomy is they spect all their defense points into their ass. Rather than having fat and muscle, a wombat's cheeks are made out of 4 thick plates of fused cartilage, making it extremely solid. And this Kevlar BBL allows for the fucking funniest defense mechanism I have ever seen on an animal. Basically, if a predator tracks down Mr. Wombat to his burrow, it'll stick its head in and start trying to dig him out. In response, the wombat will line his ass up with the tunnel door, chuck the gear shifter into reverse, and fucking floor it backwards up the tunnel into his aggressor, slamming his ass into its head. The impact then squashes the predator between his steel cheeks and the roof of the burrow, straight up crushing its skull like a Mortal Kombat fatality. I cannot make this shit up. Stepping on this rock could straight up paralyze you. That's because this isn't actually a rock. That is a stonefish, a species of underwater menace native to Australia. And coming as a surprise to absolutely no one, it is also the most venomous fish in the ocean. Because of course it is. As if the fucking snakes and spiders weren't enough, now I can get packed up by a pet rock. But why is this Pokemon reject such a threat to my mental health? Well, you see, stonefish use their special venom for defense. However, unlike most other animals that do this little f***er doesn't have the decency to dress like a neon sign to warn you. No. This bastard is a 6th prestige prop hunt veteran, having evolved some of the most impressive camouflage in the animal kingdom to make hunting easier. And once they've set themselves up, they are basically indistinguishable from Patrick Starr's house. Now, this is a fairly major problem as they love to live in the shallows on the beach, and that venom we talked about earlier is stored in these 13 giant, highly toxic spines that deliver venom when pressed on. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Considering it's hard enough to spot these things while you're paying attention, if you were, say, on a romantic walk along the beach with one of the homies, and while distracted by his ethereal beauty, weren't paying too much attention to where you were walking, it would be very easy to place your foot in the wrong spot and step directly onto 13 hypodermic needles, which would then deliver a ginormous dose of neurotoxin straight into your system. Oh, you thought it was normal venom? No. You see, these things maxed out the toxin skill tree, producing a mixture of 2 neurotoxins that can flatline you by collapsing your heart and lungs in under an hour. And even if you survive, the sting still causes extreme pain, swelling, and tissue necrosis. Because this is Australia, where even the f***ing scenery is trying to one-shot me. Komodo dragons are horror villains. I mean, seriously, this industrial-sized lizard is easily one of the biggest assholes in the animal kingdom when it comes to hunting methods, packing a PhD in suffering and a double degree in biological warfare purely because they cannot be expending effort to hunt. You see, Godzilla's little cousin here is the largest lizard in the world, weighing up to 166 kilos and being a full 3.13 meters in length, which means, for the short kings in my audience, if you're brave enough, bang a motor transport right there. Now, being the reptile equivalent of a Cadillac Escalade means that the Komodo dragon needs to consume a lot of calories to keep that bulk going. However, rather than using that bulk to proactively chase down and body slam its prey, they can take down prey 3 times their size because, as if being a reptilian tank was not enough, they are also venomous. And this isn't just your run-of-the-mill snake venom that, gives you a nice quick 15-minute death. No. A Komodo hunt starts with it running up to its prey and giving it a nice big chomp on the leg, injecting it with hemorrhagic venom. After biting, the Komodo dragon off and just sits there watching. The confused and bewildered animal runs off into the forest, leaking blood, allowing that Komodo dragon to track it like a DoorDash order. A week goes by, and that bite wound isn't closing because hemorrhagic venom prevents blood clots. So, the animal is still slowly bleeding out, and the Komodo is still watching. More time passes. That bite wound gets infected because Komodos are carrion feeders, meaning that the inside of their mouth is full of enough rotting flesh and bacteria to give Asmongold a run for his money. The infection begins to drain the animal's strength, and the Komodo is still watching. Another week passes. The infection has spread, and the flesh has begun to rot. And you best believe that ass lizard is still there watching like he's waiting for his meal to heat up in the microwave. Once the bleeding, disease-ridden animal becomes too exhausted to move on its own and collapses, the Komodo strolls over and eats it alive, shredding it into chunks if it's larger, or if it's small enough, swallowing it whole as it screams on the way down. Even for me, man, that's